Welcome to Blackalloy. What we're going to show you here is are a couple different options how to mount the front bearing housing over the spindle on the end of the unit. The bearings are already installed on the spindle, and what Jerry's actually doing is he folded the shim stock so it forms a diameter, put it through the bearing housing first, and then he's installing it on this shaft just over where the flats end on the spindle, where your sharp corners would be. And then what he will do is just slide the bearing housing onto the unit, and you could just show him before you pull it out, Jerry. Just show that the shim is actually sticking out at the end of the. Just hold the bearing housing in place, and then slide the shim out of. Just pull the shim stock out of the unit. That's one method. The next method is our original way of doing it. Is we take a small flat-bladed screwdriver, nothing with sharp edges on it. If you do it this way, please break the sharp corners on the screwdriver, because you don't want to cut the seal. So if you proceed, Jerry, we can. You basically install it over the spindle. Now he's walking the screwdriver around the area where the sharp corners are to walk the lip of the seal past that, and he has it installed. We did it this way for many years and we never had any problems, but if you go to push it on without doing that and the corners are sharp, you will definitely tear the seal and you'll end up with grease coming out of the front of the unit. Also, Jerry, if you flip the unit around, this is the back end with the spline bushing, and with the direct drive units there are no snap rings to keep the spline bushing and bearing retained in the housing, and Jerry can actually just pull the whole spline bushing bearing assembly out of the unit, and then I guess you can clean your grease out, put the bearing in. I would assemble the unit first and then put grease in it. And I think to start with, if it's completely cleaned out, I would put 5 pumps of grease into it after the unit is assembled. What you'll find is if you put grease in it now, you'll end up actually trying to push the bearing out. So that's why I'm saying if you assemble everything back together first and then put grease into it, that this way that the grease had flowed through the 3 holes that are radially mounted in the spline bushing. Please let us know if you have any questions. Also, just one other thing, the only time you really have to take apart the complete unit, and as far as like the tie rods on the side, the 4 tie rods that hold the unit together, is if you actually have an air leak. Otherwise, you can basically perform maintenance on the unit, whether it's a bearing or a spindle or the spline bushing, without disassembling that, because we do have what's called a guide kit on the front end, and in a lot of cases we have to shim this because it goes through a bronze bushing and there's this rod, and if you don't put back the right amount of shims, you will have trouble with the unit stroking. So only, like I said, only if you have to replace the seals. Other than that, you really don't have to take that apart. If you have any questions, you can call me today. It's 201-475-9300. Thanks for viewing.